First of all, I would like to say that I'm so excited coming here today. It's a real privilege to be back. Not only was I back to see Daddy rehearsing, he also dropped some things that will take me far in life. And I just want to say that amidst our rejoicing, amidst our laughters and all that, I would like that we don't put it on our right palm, rather we put it on our left palm so that we won't eat with it and so that it will be there forever and we'll always remember all the words that we have been saying. I'm so happy and I'm grateful to God that I'm here today because, they used to say opportunity comes but once. Today I met with that opportunity and I'm so grateful to God. Today I have a story. It's about a young boy. This boy, his mother gave birth to him and his biological father was nowhere to be found. It had always been his mother. Anytime he asked his mother, "Where is my daddy?" his mother would always give excuses. He would go to school. He would see fathers bringing their children to school, buying things for them, but he would always feel the spot of a father, but yet there was nobody to occupy that spot. And then he would always stay with his mom all the time. And then he got to a point he never thought there was a father. He never saw the importance of father in life. And then his mom would cook, his mom would take care of him, his mom would bath him. Anytime he needs anything, his mom would always be there for him. There is something about father figure. And that thing is that even when moms are kind, there is always a father that will always want to stamp the feet on the floor to make sure that something gets done. Because of his mom's pampering and all that, he was so loose that he could do anything that he liked. His mom is poor, and then he has always been seeing his mom working all day, trying to get food on the table and all that. And then he felt that was just what it was going to be like. He felt that was the only thing it was going to be like in life, that there was nothing more to life. And then he continued. He would play, he would go, mom would shout, he would come back, do a lot of things. And then he took life so minute that he felt there was nothing about life. But there was a day while he was going about playing, he heard his name, Tade. He looked behind him. He asked himself, who is calling me? He ran home. And then he asked his mom, did you call me? You called me while I was there. And then his mom said, I didn't call you. What? Just go, continue, go and play. I'm where I am, just continue. And then he went back. He was playing again. He heard his name again, Tade. This time around, he was a bit scared because the tone of the voice was thicker than his mom's own. And then he was still thinking, who could be calling me? He ran back home again and asked his mom, Mommy, why are you disturbing me? I'm playing and you're still calling me again. Mommy said, are you okay? I did not call you. Go back to what you are doing. And then he went back again and started playing. This time around, he was focused that anybody that calls him, if it were to be his friends that were playing pranks on him, he would make sure he deal with them mercifully. And then they were there. He was playing. The voice didn't come. He said, very good. And then while he felt he had lost himself into the play, and then he heard his voice. He heard his voice again calling him Tade. He stood still because he knew this is unusual. He looked around him. His friends were not aware of what was happening, and they continued playing. He looked around him. There was no elderly person around, and then he knew that something was happening. He looked at the plain chairs. There was nobody seated there, and then he knew that something else was going wrong. And then he stopped. He looked up. There was nothing. There was nothing unusual in the sky. And then he wanted to go back home, and he heard this voice again calling him Tade. He stopped. Funny enough, all of those boys that played with him, none of them know his name. They hope because he will always come from his house, come and play, and he's a bully. He can fight, he can do a whole lot of things. And then he heard this person in an unknown place calling his name. And then he stood still and was talking to himself. Who is this? Who is talking to me? Who are you? Show yourself. And then this voice didn't say anything. He was hungry within himself. He kept speaking again. Who is calling my name? Speak up and let me see you. And then this voice still didn't say anything. He was angry. He sat down, ready for fight. And he was like, who is this voice? I said, show yourself, let me see you. And then the voice told him, I am your father. He was surprised. You don't have a father. Who is it? Who is my father? He said, you are not my father. I don't have a father. And then the voice said, I am your father. Then the voice said something again. He said, before your conception, I knew you. Before your mother gave birth to you, I knew the name you will be called. Then he said again, he said, I personally, I have called you by a particular name, not for any other reason, but because there is a purpose I have for you. When he heard that, he paused, because nobody had spoken so clearly to him that way before. And then he sat down. He asked, who are you? Then the person said, I am your father. I have called you by your name. I know your individual names. Wherever you find yourself in, I am always there, and I have a name that I have called everyone. And this name is a special name. You know why? Because every one of you have a different purpose to fulfill in life. You are Tade because you are going to be Tade. You are not any other person's name because you are meant to be that Tade yourself. And then he broke down and said he had been living his life anyhow because he felt that was all about life. And then this same voice spoke to him and said, I've called you Tade because you are meant to fulfill a purpose in life. And then he told the person, I am a small child, I can do nothing. And then this voice told him, he said, even as small as you are, I have made you greater than you can ever be. Even as small as you see yourself, I have made you bigger than you can ever imagine. Now I am taking you forth to go and be that Tade that I have called you to be. Tade rose up. Tade went home and looked at his mom and said, Mommy, I am Tade today, and I promise that this Tade that you are seeing will be a big Tade in future. His mom laughed because Tade has always been a funny boy. But he looked at his mom and he was very serious and said, Mommy, this Tade that you are seeing, this Tade that you are looking at is going to be a big Tade in future, because Tade is not going to stay in this neighborhood, because Tade is not going to live like this, because Tade is eventually going to be somebody big. And then when he told his mom that story, his mom saw the fire in his eyes and knew that this was the real Tade she gave birth to. And then, funny enough, this Tade is an example of so many of us who we thought life is just simple, life is just normal, we are children and we have nothing to achieve in life. But the beautiful thing about life is that right from when we were being given birth to, there is something that God has deposited into our lives. And that thing is your name, the name you are being called. You don't need to be like any other person. You don't need to act like any other person. You don't need to behave like any other person. You are you, because that is what God wants you to be. You can be asking yourself, I am small, I cannot do it. I am small, what do I know? But there is somebody that has created you, somebody that is called your father, that has said he has deposited life into you, that you can be that person that he has called you for. It reminds me of another story of a young boy also who was called of God when he was young. He heard it 3 times. And then, as young as he could be, God gave that young boy an assignment that people that were older than him could not do. And at the end of the day, he took the place of those people. Another example of a youth as well who was going, determined to fulfill evil. Yet, what happened? This same person was being called of God. God spoke his name point blank. He heard it. And that name calling changed the path of his life till today. That's to show that every one of us, God knows our name. God knows Deji. God knows each and every one of us. I know the funniest thing, God has called you Deji for a purpose. He has called you Deji because he wants you to be that Deji. Don't compare yourself with anybody. Don't try to act like any other person. Don't try to be like any other person. You are you because that is what God wants you to be. You are you because he has deposited something great inside of you. And that reminds me that even your being here is because God wants you to be. And even your being here, please don't take it for granted, because why? There is something that is being laid down for you that will show forth in future, starting from here. There is something that has been written concerning your life that God has already placed your foot on, that you are trying to tread. So don't take it for granted. Don't play with it. Don't joke with it. Many of you will become big people in future, and it starts from now. How you take this time. So I leave you with this word. God knows your name. At every point in time, when you are sad, when you are not happy, when you are lonely, when you are asking yourself, why am I here? where are my real parents, knows something. That there is one person that knows your name and he has called you by that name. So don't be scared, don't feel lonely. He has called you that name because he knows your identity and he's always watching over you. Thank you very much.